Hi, I am Jethro Daniel. I cannot walk, I cannot talk in the usual way, I cannot feed myself or move from one place to the other. I am disabled, but that is not all I am, not even close. I was born with cerebral palsy, a condition which causes my brain not to send signals to my nerves, and microcephaly, a condition which stunted the growth of my brain. I had two clearly devastating conditions, and the doctors said that I would be like a vegetable and there was nothing else that could be done. No cure, no solution, no hope. I have lived the 19 years of my life with my family, my mother Lata, my father Daniel, and my sister Rhoda. I am dependent on them for everything, right from the first lights of morning to the quiet and darkness of night. My parents found out about my conditions and heard for the first time that their only son would be a vegetable for the rest of his life. It is hard to even think of something like this happening in our lives. But my parents had a hope, and that day they chose to hold on to it and never let it go.
God will undertake. What does one hope when you are faced with such a gigantic problem? What does one hope when the medical doctors say that there is no cure for a situation that we faced? Our faith turned to the one beyond with hope. God will undertake is what I told my wife when I faced with this spontaneous situation. Little did I know about the medical condition. Not much that I could see about the medical prognosis. I turned my belief on that benevolent Creator. Jethro needed love and affection. We gave it to him with all our heart. More than anybody else, he needed it. And we gave him the best. Faith upholds. It has. Faith does not cast down. It hasn't.
Being handicapped did not define who I was, and neither did it define my life for my family.
Life with Jethro, if described, is anything but ordinary. As a mother, you would expect your child to be weaned off you and be independent by the time they are 3 or 4 years old. They are able to walk on their own, they can talk, they can eat on their own, and pretty much do everything on their own. But here was a boy who had to be carried from one place to the other, had to be fed, changed, bathed, and had to be taken care of like a baby. The special difference is to cater to his needs before my own needs, because he is utterly dependent on me, and his lack of coordination means more mess. Even though later on in my life I got back to work outside home, my schedule was influenced by Jethro's meal times, and I traveled back and forth from work in order to feed him. But did I feel restricted or caged? No. Firstly, I did have to give wholeheartedly as a mother in the situation of my life. And to refresh me in my tasks and responsibility, my family has been instrumental. My husband and my daughter, Rhoda, for their sensitive support, love, and care towards me. Rhoda became such a loving caregiver, endearing her to Jethro, and my husband turned out as an excellent cook.
Jethro's life has not hindered our family life in any way. In fact, he has enriched it. He has given us so much. I have learned to become a compassionate, considerate, and patient person just because of the brother who has been an inspiration to me every single day of his life.
The love and support received from my family has truly been the most important thing in my life, without which nothing would have been possible. My mother, completely dedicated herself to my care. The fashion conscious dedicate themselves to style and fashions. She dedicated herself to me. My father was and continues to be my inspiration. The way he has led his life in an exemplary manner, teaching, guiding, and taking the complete family to a completely new dimension has impacted my life. I am fortunate to make my sister my friend who has been a source of comfort and fun in my life. Without the faith and hope that they had, that I would not have been who I am today. I was diagnosed to be a vegetable, and a vegetable I would have remained, but that was not to be the case.
When Jethro was 4 years old, the time when children go to school, we thought that we will start his lessons at home.
We had lots of plants in our balcony, and Jethro could push his body towards them when their names were called out. Jethro could select his own clothes. So it was not a surprise when Daniel mentioned that I should first check out whether he understood the alphabets before teaching him. And that is what I did. I got him ready. I took 4 alphabets, A, B, C, D, kept them in random order on the bed, and I asked him. When I asked for A, he lunged towards C. When I asked for B, he lunged towards D. And he selected all the wrong alphabets. I was really disappointed because I had hoped that he would select the right ones.
I returned home and my wife told me that Jethro selected the wrong alphabets. She did not stop with that. She continued to narrate the whole story, ending with a seemingly disappointing conclusion. But then she added that Jethro lifted his drooping head and looked at her and smiled. I saw mischief in it. Why would a boy who can't hold his head together, a boy who constantly had saliva flowing from his mouth, why would he pull his head and look at his mother and smile after selecting all those wrong alphabets?
That was a triumphant moment. Since that day, it has been a journey of discovering his talents, his abilities, his knowledge, his wisdom as he used that method to express himself.
We explored the extent of Jethro's capabilities and we stumbled upon a treasure. Jethro could form words, sentences, perform all kinds of mathematical operations, and he had a profuse knowledge of things around far beyond his age, particularly given his extreme disability.
Each person has a distinct set of talents, pre-packaged gifts that are just waiting to be opened. My circumstances did not stop me from opening and using my gifts, despite what may seem to be limitations. Disability therefore paved the way to creativity.
Jethro's basic ability, though strained, did not stop with that. It moved to creative capacity. When he was 4 years old, Jethro composed a poem for his sister in a jiffy to tell her about the cardinal directions. The wealth of the wisdom that he shares, the richness of his language, the value of the thoughts he expresses has encouraged me over all these years to support his effort to share himself for our enrichment. On one occasion, in 2 stretches of 15 minutes each, Jethro composed 11 poems of profound thought, immensely relevant to the nation and to mankind. Jethro believes that his talents are a gift. Jethro finds the mutilation of human spirit more limiting than physical disability.
As a physio, the long association with the young, vibrant hero has resulted in a mutual understanding and a cordial relationship. Let me tell you, I forget all my worries when I see him cheerful and happy throughout the session.
When I go out in public, people stare at me. To people, my life is imperfect. I can do nothing. But that is not what I believe. I could choose to spend my days thinking, what if? What if I could talk? What if I could walk? What if I could have gone to school? What if this and what if that? But I didn't.
Patience is the capacity and the ability to tolerate delays, problems, or suffering without being angry or anxious. There have been times when I have returned home late from office. But Jethro has always been cheerfully waiting for me patiently, even though he cannot snack on his own to fight his hunger. We as a family do a lot of road trips. There have been times when we are driving on the highway and have not come across a good restaurant which will serve him good milk to be had with his bread or porridge. Jethro waits patiently and cheerfully for us to stop at the appropriate place. It's very easy to become bitter, angry in circumstances like these, but it is evident by the constant joy on Jethro's face and his sunny disposition that he has not let his circumstances become the main focus of his life.
Most of man's problems are on account of his failure to think and ask the main questions of existence. Why am I here? What was I created for? I have found that if you find these answers, your life will truly be fruitful and complete. Our society is in need. Everyone is looking for meaning and a purpose, and to ensure that we do not get swept by the tide. That is life. I wanted to play a part. My poems compiled in the book Don't Mess Around are sent every single day to the thought leaders of society. I also reach out to the common man through the Jethro Initiative Family Trust started by my family to help the underprivileged of society.
Everyone has certain limitations in life. Just look around. It is evident that life is hard. Jethro's life is pretty much the same. 100% disability. Complete dependency on others. No hope. There was nothing he could look forward to in life. But as I look at his life, I see that he has not let the circumstances control him. He has used his time and limited capacity to build the one thing he could control, his mind, and has used his gifts to become an inspiration to many around the world. That is such a great lesson to me.
In spite of the lack of full comprehension of my situation with my gifts, all I can and want to do is inspire people to live their lives rightly and be contributors. We are who we are, where we are, and what we are, for a reason, and in order to live a fruitful life, it is important to embrace our circumstances and reach our destiny. I did, and that has made all the difference. I am Jethro Daniel, the boy who cannot talk, cannot use my hands, and cannot walk, and this is my story. Your mind is the place where battles are fought. Strengthen it with good for you to be a victor. You let it be filled with evil for you to be a failure.